Hi, I'm Dr. Amy Dyce from Vets4Pets Straiton, and today we're going to talk about pet insurance. This is a question we get asked all the time, and it's one that has lots of different answers. To be honest, for me personally, I think pet insurance should be mandatory. Some vets bills can get very, very expensive very quickly, and one of the main issues that we can have with some clients is that people unfortunately just can't afford it. In some cases, it can, if the condition is very serious, lead to conversations about whether or not we need to put the animal to sleep, because obviously if the owner can't afford treatment, so we can't afford to be doing major operations for free. Some clients are lucky enough to be able to get charity help, in which case obviously we can forward them on to whichever charity can help them out. For the vast majority of clients, if you can't pay for your animal's healthcare needs, you can't have the healthcare, and that's where pet insurance comes in. So pet insurance essentially is often a monthly direct debit or a yearly upfront cost, and that insures your animal against accidents, injuries and illnesses. So that could be things like a broken leg, epilepsy, diabetes, a nasty vomiting bug, swallowing a stone. Often there's an excess to pay, so maybe the first £50 or £100 of the bill you pay up front, but then everything else potentially can be claimed back through your pet insurance. Obviously, the benefit for the majority of people is that unless you're a millionaire, most of us don't have a spare £4,000 or £5,000 sitting in an account on the off chance that the dog breaks its leg. So that's where pet insurance comes in, that so long as you can afford the upfront cost of the excess, often after that, the pet insurance kicks in and you can either claim direct through your vet or you pay as you go, and then you know you're going to get a cheque through the post or an electronic payment at the end of the treatment. Some people say to me, oh, instead of having pet insurance, I'll put money away every month in a savings account. And to those people I say, that's great, but say conservatively you can put away, I don't know, £100 a month, which I think the majority of us would struggle with. But say you could, that means at the end of the first year you've got £1,200 sitting in an account. A couple of years ago my dog had major knee surgery and it cost £3,500, and that was just for one op. So you can see that if I'd had £1,200 sitting in an account, that would have been gone and then some, and I would have still had to pay the difference. So that's the benefit of pet insurance, is often it covers much larger sums than people can afford to pay for with a credit card or a savings account. So this is another question that we get often, and to that I say, get the best quality pet insurance that you can afford, essentially. It's difficult for me to say you should have X type or Y type, because it depends very much on your circumstances and the type of animal that you have. But the best type out there is covered for life. So whichever pet insurance company you go for, covered for life is what you want. You want to avoid time limited or maximum benefit, because those two are quite restrictive in what you can claim for. So with time limited, often you can claim say £3,000 per condition, but that's only for a year. So if your animal develops a lifelong condition like diabetes, you've got 12 months to claim for diabetes, but then potentially another 10 years of having an animal with diabetes and not being able to claim. So the difference with covered for life is that you'll get a fresh pot of money every year. So with Pet Plan, 4, 7 or 12 grand a year, and that's available to you every year. So go for covered for life. If you can't afford covered for life, but you want to have some pet insurance, then time limited or maximum benefit is definitely better than no pet insurance. This is another question that we get very often, and again, it's one that's difficult for us to answer. Sort of like, how long is a piece of string? It depends on a lot of different factors. So that's things like the type of animal you have, the age of the animal, the breed and species of the animal, whether there's pre-existing conditions, whether they're neutered or not, where you live, whether you have multiple animals. So there's so many different factors in play that it's really difficult for your vet or nurse to be able to say how much your insurance policy might cost. What you can do is you can go online. So Pet Plan have a calculator on their website, and you can put in all of your details and all of your animal's details, and it will give you an approximate idea of how much your policy might cost. My dog is a 15 kilo crossbreed dog. He's neutered, we live in the city centre, and he's got no pre-existing conditions, and he's been insured since he was a puppy, and it costs me about £25 a month. So that's just to give you a ballpark. If you had a pedigree large breed dog, so something like a bulldog or a Great Dane, Newfoundland, you could easily be looking at £80 or £90 a month. If you have a small crossbreed cat, you could be looking like £15 a month. So there's a huge range. You're best going on the Pet Plan website and using their calculator. The brief answer to this is no. The best insurance companies for pet insurance are companies that are specifically for pet insurance. So we are affiliated with Pet Plan, so they're the people that we're trained with. One of the benefits of Pet Plan is that they are just about pet insurance. So they don't insure your car, they don't insure your house, they don't insure your sofa, they just insure your dog, cat or rabbit. And because they're specific for pet insurance, you know you're getting good quality service from people who are trained to deal with pet insurance. The other thing that's worth pointing out is when you pick an insurance company, go with the best quality one that you can afford from the beginning, and then don't chop and change. So this is very confusing because with car insurance, often you do chop and change. You know, it gets to the end of the policy year, the year rolls over and your policy goes up in price and you think, oh, that's a bit expensive, I'll go and compare the market and I'll pick something that's cheaper. Don't do that with pet insurance. The problem with doing that with pet insurance is anything that you've claimed for in that year or previously, if you then change insurance companies, you won't be covered for anymore. So that could be something as silly as a bout of vomiting 4 years ago. You then change insurance company, and when you try and claim for vomiting again, they'll say it was a pre-existing condition because it happened before you took out that policy. Basically, you want to pick a good quality insurance company and then stick with them. The other thing with the cheaper insurance companies is that often they'll start out cheap, and then once you've claimed, the policy will go up in price. The benefit of something like Pet Plan is what you pay from the beginning is pretty much what you'll pay for the rest of their life. So it might go up with £1 or £2 with inflation, but it's not going to suddenly double as soon as you start claiming. So that's the benefit of paying more for a better quality company right from the beginning. So when you drop off your insurance form with us here at Straiton, there'll be one of two charges to pay. Either £6.50 if you've paid for your treatment as you go, and then we're claiming it back on your behalf, or £13 if we're claiming it directly, so you've not paid anything more than your excess. There is a lot of paperwork involved in processing insurance forms. Colette, our practice manager, processes these insurance forms every week, and at the moment we're probably processing anywhere from 5 to 10 insurance forms a week, and it probably takes her at least 3 or 4 hours a week, and we're still quite young, so you can imagine that as the practice gets older and busier and we're dealing with more sick animals, that workload is going to increase. So obviously we're paying Colette. We have to pay Colette a wage for the time that she spends with us here at the practice. She's also printing off clinical histories, we're printing off insurance forms, we're filling them in, we're posting them away, so there's cost of stamps, envelopes, paper, printering, and then once the insurance form arrives at the company, often they call us and they need to clarify things. Most people don't have the clinical ability to be able to look at the charges and say that one needs to go because it's an ear infection and that's what we're charging for, but that one was a flea treatment, so we're not claiming for that. So Colette has to sit and go through sometimes hundreds of medications and work out which ones to go on the claim forms and which ones aren't, and obviously that takes a degree of clinical knowledge that most members of the public just don't have. So essentially what you're paying for there is our time, expertise, skills and consumables. So to be honest, I think £6.50 and £13 is really a nominal cost. I've seen practices down south that have charged much more, like £30 or £40. Equally, the other issue we sometimes have is clients say, oh, my last vet doesn't charge. To be honest, I can't control what other vets do and don't charge, but I personally have decided that we need to charge for this because there's so much time and effort and consumables involved that we just can't afford not to. Complete Care is a Vets4Pets direct debit, which covers your vaccinations, flea and wormer. This is not pet insurance, so this covers your preventative things, whereas pet insurance covers your accidents, injuries and illnesses. You can have Complete Care and you can have pet insurance, and they're designed to run alongside each other. My own dog is on both, but insurance and complete care are not the same thing. So that's been our insurance video. I hope it's been helpful. I know it can be quite a confusing topic, so if you've got any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. Otherwise, I've been Amy Dyce from Vets4Pets Straiton, and we'll see you soon.